Hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your holiday season. For the first video of 2025, I want to talk a little bit about SiriLic, SIRILIC. And it's a program that I use for stacking all my calibration frames, if I have any, and the lights. And the reason why I like to use SiriLic is because you're just pointing to the files. You're not moving files. With my multiple rigs, I have a computer at each telescope. And each computer has its own standalone 1 terabyte SSD. So I would use that as a form of sneaker net. And when I start to process the files, I use that SSD for all the processing. And that's what I'll show you today, is that I no longer have to move files around or put them in special folders. I just have to point to the locations. And the other thing that SiriLic allows is, let's say you have a target that you spent multiple nights on, and in the current version of or in Siril, if you want to try to stack those multiple nights, it's not the most easiest thing to do. So with SiriLic, again, you're just pointing to files, and you make a project for the number of sessions that you want to include within the stack, which makes life much easier. And I will show you how you can make and set up SiriLic to do just that. I have an M31 project that spans 2 nights. I have roughly 360 lights. I have 2 different flats, one for each night, and then I have bias and dark frames that I'll use for both nights. So let's get going here. What I want to show is, and I will put links for all this stuff in the, excuse me, in the description below the video. And this is the location of SiriLic. It's on GitLab. And you want to go to deploy releases, and you want the Windows package, and the current version is 1.15.12. And after you download this zip, you'll see it says password SiriLic. When you go to or extract the zip file, it will ask you for a password, and that password is SiriLic. Then once you have the executable, what I have done is I've just made a folder on my C drive called SiriLic right here. And within this folder is the executable. And then I created a pointer file by right-clicking, and I just pinned it to the start menu. You can see it says unpin. I don't want to do that. And then if you go into your start menu, there's SiriLic. So let's start her up. And it's a fairly simple interface, but it can be a confusing interface. So what we want to do is we want to create a new project. So I'm going to go File, New, and this is M31. Oh, before I do that, let's cancel this. I want to go and edit the properties. I want to make sure that multi-session is checked. I want to equalize. and I want identical parameters for all layers. Then in the preferences, I want to, in my case, I've created a working directory at this location, and the session name will go in, a folder with the session name will go into this location. This is the work that will be the working directory for SiriLic. Excuse me. And then you need to point to the current executable for Siril, because SiriLic is using the command line version of Siril. And I have cleaned the object directory before to launch the script. I'm using symbolic links. I want to return to the work directory at the script end. I want, after executing the script, to launch Siril. And I want to be in 32-bit floating mode. I'm only going to create a single fits file from the sequence, and then I have the enable SirDev checked. And what that does is instead of duplicating files, it's going to create pointer files with 0 bytes. And 0 and 0, when it's set to 0, it will use all the cores and all the RAM. So if you want to use, in this particular case, I think this machine has 20 cores, I can use 10 of them if I want. So now that you have your preferences set, we can go in and create a new project. I'm going to call it M31. I don't care what the session base name is, so we'll leave it at S, and I'm going to have 2 sessions. So I want to click to get the number 2 to show. I think you can go up to 10 sessions, which I don't know why you would really need that many, but apparently some people do. Now I have a color camera, so I'm going to deselect the light on the mono and select one-shot color or CCD, and we are done. And as soon as we do that, you can see I've got both my sessions here. So I'm going to click on the first one, which is the top. I'm going to go to Files, and this is where we will load all of our individual lights, bias, darks, flats, etc. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can open up a file explorer and drag them into this location here. I'm just going to use the Add button. And we're going to go to the first set of lights. And I want to make sure that there's 100, yep, there's the 180. So I'm going to select them all with a Control A and say Open. And you see it puts all those files here. Now I want to go to the biases, and I have my biases in another folder here. And I'm going to open those, and I want my darks. They are also in another location here. I'm going to load those, and my flats. So my flats are going to be located, I'm not sure. Yes, we'll take these. And I don't have a dark flat. So these are all the files for the first session. Now I'm going to click on the second session, and I'm going to go to here. And I want to grab all of these. I'm going to grab my biases, which are also in the same folder. And I want to grab my darks, which are in that folder. And my flats, which are I'm just going to grab these. Okay, so now I have all of my files. And if I go to the first setup, you can then start working on the properties. But I'm not going to really talk too much about this, and we're just going to use the defaults. But you can change pretty much any parameter that you want right here for either session. But again, I'm not going to change those. I just wanted to show you that you can change the parameters. Okay, so now what we want to do is, because we have all our files for both sessions, we want to go into action and we want to build the directories and copy and link the images. So we want to click on step 1 and it will run through and create all the necessary files that it's going to need for the second step. So you see right here it says finished. So now we want to go and we want to build and run the script in Siril. So because I am pointing to Siril, or I'm sorry, SiriLic, not Siril. It's going to run the Siril script in SiriLic. Let me rephrase that. It's going to run the Siril script in Siril, the command line version. There, I feel good about that one. And by build and run the Siril script, it will actually do all the processing. Now, because I have a lot of data, and these are big frickin' files, they're 120 megs each, it's going to take me about 30 minutes. So what I will do is I'll start the run, and you can see it's starting. So now it's starting to do all the processing. What I will do is I'll come back, I'll step away and then come back when we're close to being finished. So we'll see in a few. And welcome back, everyone. We are now at about 54 minutes into the process, and we're just starting to stack. Once it finishes the stack, it will then proceed to open up Siril and load the image. If you go into process, you'll see the flow. You've got your images, your bias, your darks, your flats, and how they all are integrated into making up your result image. These are, again, all your files for session 1, session 2. These are the properties that you can get more information by looking at any of the pop-up requesters. Right now the machine's working a little hard, so they don't pop right up. And then this is the log, tells you where you are in the process. So my images are huge. They're 9568 by 6380, 32-bit files. So it takes a little bit to process this data. But once it's processed, it looks very nice. You can see here's the progress of the stack. It's at 27%. At 40%. Now, I should also mention that this is hard drive. The speed of this is hard drive related. And if you're using a spinning hard drive, the old spinners, you're going to be much slower than what I'm at right here. I have an SSD. You always want to try to use an SSD, which you can get pretty cheaply nowadays. I think you can get 2 terabytes of SSD external for right around $100 anymore today. So uh, it would behoove you to try and get yourself some SSD storage to do all your processing with, because it just speeds up the whole process. Uh, it makes your life much nicer. So we're at, let's see, that's 47, 48 minutes. And we're at 53%. 66. Now, if you have a smaller sensor, I have a full frame sensor that's uh, got small pixels, so I think it's 62 megapixels. So I'm crunching quite a bit of data here. If you have an APS-C sensor, that's going to be about I think that's quite a bit smaller than what I've got by a long shot. Maybe 6,000 by 4,000. So I think they're generally 26 megapixels. So that's about a third of what I have. So take a third of this, and so we're at let's see, 50 minutes right now. So take a third of 50, and that's how much faster you would be. Okay, so now the stacking is done. Now it's opening up Siril. And there's our image. So if I go and just click on histogram, we can see if I preserve the aspect ratio and do something like that. And then crop it. And then we can go into auto stretch, and I'll use Grassford. And we want to take this up to maybe 60, and then apply that. And again, this is a very large image, but you can see that it's done it. And then we can do now is go into the, well, you can see right now I don't have any location data here. So if I go into the color calibration, you'll see that the photometric and the spectrophotometric stuff is ghosted out. So that tells you have to have the plate solver fired up. So I'm going to use the astrometry.net, which is local to my hard drive, and I'm pointing to this within, if I go into preferences, and I think it's in miscellaneous, no? Where is it? Photometry. No. Astrometry, there it is. And if I go down, there it is. I'm pointing to, that is the solver for astrometry.net. So we will just use the existing settings and say OK. Found it. There, perfect. So now you see I have data for the target, and I can go in and do, so what we can try is 571C is going to be very close to what this sensor actually is. It's a one-shot color. It's an average spiral galaxy, and we're just going to use these and have it figure out what's going on. So it's going out to the Gaia DR3 catalog, and it's requesting data, and it's found it. That's the white balance summary. This is the white balance summary for the spectral lines, and now I can go and show you that the remove green is fixed. Ta-da! And now I can start stretching the data, but all my stars are now the right color. Oops. And we don't have those funky halos where the color missed the star. It's just all around nicer. It's just a whole much nicer even through here. So now when I start color stretching and doing my saturation stretches, these colors will come out much nicer. So this is how SiriLic works. And if you click on the home directory here, you'll see that it creates an RGB folder and a temp folder within the M31 folder. And these are the files you can get rid of. So if I go in, we'll kill this. It will ask you if I want to save the project. I don't normally save the project, so I just say cancel. If we go into a file requester and go to that folder, you can see on the drive, it was down here. These are all the files that it just created. And they are located right here. So if I get rid of these, because I don't need them. Whoops. Oh, did it. All right. And then go back to this PC. You could see that we got all our space back. And now I'm left with just the files that I want. And then here's the script. So if we double click on this, this is the script that SiriLic made for the job that was just done. Now you can take and use this, reuse this, change it, do whatever you want with it, but I don't. I just delete it. Like I said, I always am creating new projects, and I may not necessarily always want to be using those flats. Might be a different sensor, who knows? But that, my friends, is how you or I use SiriLic. I think you'll find it is much easier. You don't have to move any files around. You're just uh, pointing to the files you want to use, and then you're going to create let's just go, whoops. So you want to create a new project here. If you got a mono, you want to pick the filters that you're using. And if you don't have a mono and you got a one-shot color, then you want to, it could be one session or multiple sessions, however you want to do it. Say, okay, it's going to create a folder, and within that folder, once you got the folder, then you want to build the directories and copy the links for the images. When that's done, then you can build and run the script by selecting step 2. And it will blast away at all that stuff until it's finished. And remember, I'm showing you worst case scenario. This is the biggest sensor that I currently own, 62 megapixel or 120 mega for each image, which is a lot of data. So I hope this helps all you wonderful Siril fans out. It's a great program that's only getting better, and it has a really neat little community that makes all these little utilities like SiriLic that can be used along with Siril to just increase your productivity immensely. So with that, I wish everyone clear skies, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.